Hello, we are United by Race. I am Junko, actress and Japanese English interpreter, and I'm here with my co-host Ben Lee.
Hey there. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Ben.
We
Yeah.
well actually here. I can't pronounce her name, but we had a very fun interview just now that we're recording the intro for.
Yes. So our guest was one of the leads in the current, I think it's a hit show on Apple TV, Chief of War, and it's Te Ao O Hinepehinga, and she goes by T.
Good job.
Yes, hopefully. Yay. I don't know. I think after listening to the show, which actually is spoken in the Oleo Hawaii uh, language and its subsequent dialects, because each island, you have your base Oleo Hawaii, and then you have your other islands as unique dialects, and you already start hearing that by the first two episodes. Very rich, visually, linguistically, everything.
Well, and you know, as we've established on this show, I'm not great at pronunciation, but in all seriousness, I had reached out to one other actor on the
Hmm.
show whose name is, and again, I'm sure I'm going to butcher this, but T Kohei Tuhaka or
Hmm.
Te Kohei Tuhaka. And so I was starting to think, is this like, Korean names where the last name's always first? So I
Uh,
just wasn't sure if like T was going to be the proper way of
mhm.
addressing her. So I'm glad
Oh, I
you,
kind of
I'm
just
glad you knew it.
I was just doing my research, and I saw her CNN interview, and that's how I knew she goes by T for
Yeah.
interviews.
Yeah, no, and wonderful conversation. She, as you mentioned, Chief of War, and she plays one of the main characters. So
Mm-hmm.
she is a star in the making, against maybe her own will, because she couldn't be more
Mm.
down to earth and grounded.
We actually did a pretty good deep dive without spoiling too much.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
yeah,
don't think we spoil anything. If
I guess we
anything,
guess we can't really.
yeah,
Not at this
but
point. Not two episodes in.
yeah, and I think she alludes to the fact that a lot of this is based on like real history, real
Yeah,
people, and so if
yeah,
you know the history, you probably know some of where the story's going.
mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
like me, I think most people probably don't know these stories that well. At
yeah.
least people
I
that
didn't
aren't
know either. Yeah,
like Native Hawaiians or Islanders. And
yeah. Although
to that end,
I must share though. I would highly recommend doing the tour of the palace on in Honolulu.
uh,
I highly, highly recommend that. I came up very, very educated, and I also kind of felt like an asshole for not knowing the history. But yeah.
look, yeah, I mean, so the log line, well, at least the log line through the first two episodes, right? Is so first of all, this is a show that Jason Momoa co-wrote. Clearly, it's a passion project of his as well. And he is the main character, and it starts out a little Aquaman like, right? He has
Mhm.
distanced himself from his father and his family who live on Maui, right?
Mm.
And I think we find him early in the show. He's on Kauai, and you get a
Yeah.
little bit. There's not a ton of exposition, but you get a little bit of a setup of Oahu, Maui, Kauai,
Mm.
and even I think they're referencing Hawaii as in the Big Island
Mm.
of. Essentially, people are going to be battling for some type of supremacy.
Yeah,
Is
over the islands,
generally
right?
what's
Yeah.
happening. Although there's obviously a much more sinister approach in the first couple of episodes
Mm.
where Jason's character, he's basically getting lured to go
Mm.
back to support his old tribe to attack Oahu, through prophecy, right? Like through the story
Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
he's being told he's part of a prophecy, and yet we learn by the end of the second season that the character that's playing the current king that
Mm.
is trying to bring him into battle because he's such an awesome soldier,
Mm.
um certainly is not a good person, right? And
Right,
that's
right.
generally all we kind of see in the first couple episodes,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not true. As we
Ah,
discussed in the show, we see a lot of Jason Momoa's butt cheeks.
yes. And I guess people should I guess it'd be good for people to know this.
Well,
I
like,
mean, I'm
so
like,
uh,
I feel like I lean in a culture where that's like you don't really bat an eye, like with sumo wrestlers, for example, in
yeah,
Japanese culture. So I'm like, but yeah, I
I
can see a
don't,
lot of more Western leaning sensibilities folks being a little bit like, oh,
I mean, I guess it's homophobic, really, right? Like, but outside of that, I can't see it being that big of an issue.
yeah,
It's,
well, yeah, but
but
also like some, yeah,
it is very, we joked about it during the interview, but it's
mm,
within the first, couple minutes, like, oh yeah,
yeah.
there he is.
Yeah. But also at the same time, I do appreciate like the full body tattoos or
Yes.
special occasion inking that you do see in the full context.
Yes.
So so if you get past your initial like, oh, it's Jason Momoa's butt cheeks and everyone else, he's not the
Yeah.
only one, but
To,
you get a fuller moving picture of how these like tattoos or ink art really moved and breathed too.
well, yeah, and to your point, it's not just done for gimmick, right? It's not
No, it's very,
done
yeah,
just
yeah,
to
yeah,
draw a female audience or any, even though I'm
yeah.
sure my older sister will now watch
That's
many,
true.
many, many times. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, this
yeah,
is what life was like.
yeah. And
And
actually, a T educated us a bit about how authentic they would be, because if anyone is familiar with paintings and whatnot of from that era, like most of the time women were topless. So like, so she gets to explain to us how that process was.
Mhm.
Yeah, because even she would have been like not that excited about being topless for the entire
Yeah,
show. Yeah.
yeah. I was going to mention a couple things to you, but before we go there, I hope the recording, for those of you that listen to the interview, it seems like all of our dogs, not just Junko and mine, but also hers, were, creating some extra sound effects during the episodes. Some of that we may edit out, some of it we'll see. But
Well, now that you
I'm
brought it
not.
up, I'm going to leave it in, I guess.
I mean, I'm not joking, and you might see me kind of shifting in my chair, or I put it on mute a couple times.
Mm,
No less than maybe 30 minutes of that interview,
yeah.
my two male dogs were just humping each other. Like,
Oh.
it's how they play, right? They
Yeah,
wrestle, and
yeah.
um it couldn't have been more distracting. So I'm glad to have an interview partner in
Yeah,
moments
because,
like that.
oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. We shall see if the mic picked up a certain sound from excuse
Yeah.
me, from a dog.
Yeah. A couple of news items this week in terms
Hmm.
of, I guess the AANHPI cinema landscape. It was, I think, generally announced, or maybe at least, I think it's beyond rumor that
Mm-hmm.
Celine Song, who wrote and directed Past Lives and
Mm-hmm.
then the Materialist movie,
Mm-hmm.
is going to be making the sequel to My Best Friend's Wedding.
Oh, well, you're also a big fan, a Celine Song fan,
I
with her
Yes,
movies. Like
well,
you really love
actually,
Past
I
Lives
do, and I
herself.
really love Past Lives.
Yeah.
And what I guess we're learning about her
Mm-hmm.
is she didn't go down like, oh, I'm going to make films only about like Asian Americans. His Past
Mm-hmm.
Lives is definitely a great Asian
Mm-hmm.
American film, but apparently she just really loves the topic of love triangles, right? Because that's what
Mm-hmm.
Past Lives was, that's what
Mm-hmm.
Materialist was, and ultimately, if My Best Friend's Wedding
Mm.
follows suit,
Yep.
maybe we're following. I'm thinking, there's been no summary or plot shared, but I'm thinking it's maybe like a, before sunrise, before sunset. Like, I'm
Uh,
hoping it's Julia Roberts again and Dermot
mm.
Mulroney again, just
Hmm.
however many years later,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
maybe things didn't work out with Cameron
Ah,
Diaz and
right,
something
right,
like
right, right,
that.
right. Huh.
But who knows?
Hmm.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
I think that's something that an audience now can handle, the complexities
Of course.
of
And
human
again,
relationships portrayed in media, that kind of
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
and and she tends to take something that is fairly simple and make something quite elegant and beautiful out of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Or I would say taking something complicated to express and able to have a certain idea about it and
Actually,
execute.
that's a better description. I think other
No, yeah,
directors
I
in the
think yours is
hands.
totally
Well, yeah,
is
in
there
the
too.
hands of other
Yeah.
directors, they might just kind of simplify it, but she actually brings forward the complexity really well. Other news, and this is something that really kind of dominated the AAPI, Instagram accounts of people,
Hmm.
was the Darren Criss being replaced um,
Yes.
by a
Yeah.
Caucasian actor or a white actor
Yep.
for his Broadway show that he had just won an Emmy for.
Erin Quilliff on her Fairy Princess Diaries. Yeah. She had a couple. She had some words, and I was thinking like we could have her back on to
Hmm.
do like a recap takedown of what the heck's happening. If there's movement, because there's been a lot, like BD Wong put out. Yeah, he put out a
Petition.
statement. Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually I signed on as well.
Yeah.
Francis Chu, posted on his Instagram about this BS. No.
Yeah. Well, and I
Yeah.
actually don't know. I don't really know the story, right? I guess
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
supposed to be
Yeah.
based in Korea, right? And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. It doesn't like the story isn't Korea. It takes place in Korea, but you can't ignore the fact, of its. You still have to recognize a location
mhm.
anyway. But I haven't done a deep dive into it myself. But yeah, we might call upon the
Yeah.
voice of Aaron Quill to give us uh the hot recap on it.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good
Well,
idea.
back to Chief of War.
Yeah.
What did you think in general or overall of the first two episodes? And we're on episode 2, or I think
Yep.
they basically dropped the first 2 episodes this past weekend, and then
Okay.
every
Every
Friday they're
Friday.
going to have another episode. So, what was your impression of the first 2 episodes?
Oh, it's wonderful, and it's subtitled. It's really nice to hear the language length because the first 2 episode is 100% in not in English, folks.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is a different type of viewing experience because these I don't. Yeah, I guess there must be a dubbed version. I guess. I mean, I guess you have to at
Probably,
least for
yep.
hearing impaired. Um, but otherwise, like really, you can't you can't have your phone and your iPad and look at the TV. You really have to put everything down and really focus on things, which made me really pick up on details, and quiet, especially during the moments when there is no dialogue.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and honestly, I actually think when I first started doing interviews for Shogun and where we met,
Mhm.
I had asked a couple of the producers this question. Emiko, what
Mhm.
I remember
Oh,
asking
yeah,
her
yeah,
the
yeah.
question.
Uh-huh.
Um, just kind of whether they
Or
expected
yeah.
people would watch a show that was
Yeah.
heavily subtitled, and I think it's now so accepted, and not only for shows like Shogun and Squid Game and the other Korean drama shows,
Mhm.
but someone was explaining to me how nowadays, because of even like YouTube and TikTok always being captioned, that just people are kind of now
Yeah.
trained to read captions,
Well, and
much
then
more
there's
than they
that
used
other
to.
like other articles that were circulating. They're great dogs, but those
Can you hear
other
them? They're
articles.
at
Oh
it.
yeah,
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 they're at
yeah.
it again. Yeah,
So funny.
yeah,
But no, I can. But those articles circulating of how volume is adjusted with certain dialogues that you literally cannot hear the dialogue
mm,
because it's unbalanced. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Are
like
you a
asymmetrically. Yeah.
when you just watch regular TV? Do you turn the subtitles on or off?
Yeah, it's a mix.
Okay.
Um, or sometimes even one of my accounts, like it was turned on because I was watching something else and it's just on, and I'm
Yeah.
too lazy to turn it off. So, oh my
Okay.
god, your dog sounds so cute. Like, I mean, they are. They're just Jews, so
they
they're cute, but
yeah they
fundamentally,
do little high pitched squeals every now
yes.
and then. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, I'm a subtitle on now person too. It took me a while to accept that,
Hmm.
but then I realized, yeah, my hearing probably isn't as great as it could be. So when I'm watching with like my family or something, I
Yeah.
always want it louder and they don't want it as loud. So now I read, and probably learn a lot more. I don't know if my dogs are getting your dogs to bark now.
I know. Oh, you did hear my dog. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, there we go. It's probably someone
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Anyway.
with Chief of War, when's the last time you went to Hawaii, and what island did you go to?
No, it's been a while. 2017? 2017?
Oh, it has been a while. Yeah.
Maybe. Although maybe in the future I might stop by Hawaii on the way to Japan in the future. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's I was there just earlier this year on the
Oh yeah,
Big
that's right.
Island when the volcano was erupting, so it was really fun.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I think we're spoiled in California because we can go to Hawaii pretty easily.
Right.
And so I've been, but I guess for a lot of people listening and a lot of people that will watch the show, they probably haven't seen that much of Hawaii. And that's another fun thing or beautiful thing about the show is you get to it's beautiful cinematography and you see all the islands because they very much so are showing you aerial views of Oahu, of Maui, and Kauai. You see the waterfalls, you see everything. So I think even from that point of view, it is a beautiful show to watch. Besides Jason Momoa's ass cheeks.
Okay, my dogs are in full howling mode. Oh my god!
I think maybe that's a sign that we should hand it
move
over to
on.
T.
Yes. So our guest was Te Ao O Hinepehinga, and was oh gosh, this is so bad. And you gotta hand off. I'm handing off.
It's
to you,
amazing.
Ben.
Yes, amazing interview with T. And don't forget, we are United by Rice podcast on Instagram. You could download, listen to us on Spotify, on iHeartRadio. I finally got some episodes up on YouTube. I'm going to do the rest over the next couple days, and then hopefully soon Apple TV. And then don't forget to email us at unitedbyrice@gmail.com. But here is T from Chief of War.
And we're back here, United by Rice, and we are here with our guest, Te Ao O Hinepehinga. Also goes by T. Currently can be seen in A Chief of War on Apple TV, and it's they're on episode 2, comes out every Friday, and it was a total of 7 episodes or 8. How many episodes? 9. Okay.
9. Yeah.
It was like, how many episodes? There's no standard anymore. But there you go, 9. And yep, directed by Justin Chon, who I'm also a big fan of. So yeah, and I'm here with my co-host Ben Lee.
Yeah, and T, how did Junko do on the pronunciation of your name? Because that was going to be one of my biggest challenges during this podcast.
Oh, I mean, she absolutely nailed it. I can't say I'm surprised.
Oh,
Anyone who
thank you.
speaks an indigenous language is just like, we're used to having to play with our vowel sounds. So you absolutely killed it, sis.
Thank you. Gosh, yeah, I'm like, so many questions.
Well, why don't we start with like the basics? Because I think you're newer probably to this side of the hemisphere. So we'd love to just hear a little bit more about where you're from, where you grew up, and eventually how you got to this cool new show on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Okay, I'll try to keep this short because I do have a habit of gas bagging, as anyone who's watched any other press I do has noticed. So, well, kia ora, my name is Te Ao O Hinepehinga. I grew up in a beautiful collection of villages called Muriwai, Patatahi, and Tolaga Bay. Which is on the east coast of the North Island. Arguably, don't come for me, naughty North, but the best part of New Zealand. I'm just
yeah.
And basically grew up in a really old school village. We speak Te Reo, we hang out at the marae, we do kapahaka and Māori performing arts pretty much our whole lives. And so that was kind of my first introduction to performance. I was raised around it, but I didn't actually discover drama until I was about 15 years old. And we had this teacher come through to be our deputy principal, and she offered drama class. And my friends, one's a singer, one's just a natural born performer. They were like, let's do it. And I'm the third in the pack going, no, thank you. I'm just going to go hang out in the library with my books. Thank you. But got dragged in, and you know what? I actually fell in love. I never really thought it was a viable career until I think I was about 16. And I went, you know what? Let's give it a crack. Like, yes, this is a crazy idea. And yes, it's probably impossible for this little village Māori in the middle of nowhere to be able to succeed. But I mean, hey, you only live once, right? So why not try? Did not think I would get this far. Still kind of sitting here going, how did this happen? This was okay. So yeah, I mean, we've been doing it. I've been very fortunate to be able to find work here in Aotearoa. We're very lucky in Aotearoa. We have a really strong just TV and film industry that's self-sustained here in Aotearoa, and I've gotten to work on projects like Head High, which was my very first project.
That was the rugby one?
Yes.
Right, that I've heard of. Cool.
Much to Kate McDermott's dislike, she constantly gets told it's the New Zealand version of Friday Night Lights.
That's
the one. Yeah, Friday Night Lights. Yeah, so it gets compared to that a lot. And poor Kate's just like,
not a bad comparison.
Yes.
I know, but she's like, it was an original idea, guys. And I'm like, I totally believe you. But also, that was a great show, and now we're being put next to it. So that can't be a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And so that was also my first introduction into, I guess, Indigenous storytelling per se. I mean, I wouldn't say it's on the same caliber of Chief of War, but it was the first time I think I'd walked on set and seen multicultural representation that was representative of Aotearoa. We had a Chinese character, we had an Indian character, we had Māori at the forefront of the show. So it was a really cool introduction, because I think when you're young and you don't see a lot of representation here in Aotearoa or on TV in general, you start to kind of sit there going, is there actually a place for me? Like, am I going to tick enough boxes to be able to get hired? Because that's where representation is really important. So that really kind of gave me the confidence to keep going and pushing through into this industry so that I could eventually end up here.
Interesting. Well, and there's the concept of checking enough boxes, or there's the concept sometimes of checking too many boxes, right? Because sometimes there aren't enough of the stories that are being told that support casts like this show. So we're, as Junko mentioned, we're 2 episodes in. I think we've seen glimpses of your character. You seem to be part of the core family surrounding Jason Momoa's character. But do you want to tell us a little bit more? And I, just like I couldn't say your name, is Kuopohi? What's the right way to say it?
So Kupu.
Kopu?
And Ohi.
Ahi. Kupu Ahi. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And I don't know if I'm just, dense, or if it hasn't been clear yet, because I can't quite figure out what your relationship is with Jason's character or the rest of the core characters so far through 2 episodes.
Yeah. And you know what, though? I have to note, though, I really appreciate that different view of male-female dynamics in that kind of structured society. Like even like the whole giving birth in the future was a village conversation. In Western senses, it's more of a private conversation, but I really appreciate it from the get-go. So I would say, what is a relationship? But it's almost like a little bit of a dive into relationship, but in that context of I'm almost going to say it probably wasn't what a Western audience would understand as a husband-wife. Like, it wasn't that structured back then.
I love that you say that, because that was such an important conversation that me and my co-star Luciani Buchanan, who plays Ka'ahumanu, her and I talked about that a lot coming in, because obviously there is romance in the show, but we're coming at it from an Indigenous perspective. So unfortunately, yes, sometimes it can get lost in the nuances, and you have to kind of keep watching the show to fully understand it. But so to explain, that is my husband. Ignore the age gap. Yes, I am much younger than him. Thank you. But in actual fact, Ke Kupuohi, as she is in history, was married to Kaiana and she was actually supposed to be, historically, she's older than him by a few years. So she's actually supposed to be somewhere between, I believe, Cliff Curtis's character, who you'll meet next episode, and Kaiana's character. But for reasons that I still cannot believe, they decided, Jason, when watching my audition, went, "That's my wife." And here I am playing a role that's a couple, maybe 20, 30 years younger than it should be. But so that's who she is. And it was really important, like you said, it was really cool to be able to explore what romantic and familiar relationships look like in a more Indigenous perspective. And I mean, I imagine it looks different everywhere, depending on where you end up in the world and who you're talking to. But it was something where we wanted to be able to, I wouldn't say decolonize what romance looks like, but maybe offer another approach to how love can be shared and really open that up. And so you'll see as the show kind of unfolds, there's other bits where people will probably be like, "Oh my goodness, like why hasn't she lost her shit about this?" And so it's really hard to be able to like portray that, because it's not a show about romance. That's not the forefront of this. Like, that's not the primary narrative of this show, but it was an opportunity to kind of dance in that area. And I hope that if we do get a season 2, we get to flesh that out more and really show the different ways that love can appear and love can be shared between two individuals.
Yeah. And actually, also speaking of, I really appreciate the masculine male love in the episode 2, like funeral burial ceremony thing, because it's a mourning, but mourning comes from a place of love because you loved someone. So I really appreciated that as well, right off the bat, just breaking a lot. And I also have to give props to you, bridging that gap between Jason and your character. You actually have built a lot of her history and experience. So she's coming in, she comes off as more of like born with an older soul. So I think you've built and created something that matches the life experiences of Jason Momoa's character too. Yeah. So I think, it did not bother. Like I clocked that for a hot second, but what you created and built, and also how Justin captured it, it was a footnote in the end. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And I mean, props to Justin. He really came in with such incredible vision, and it was such a wild time. I mean, we were filming in a waterfall. We were filming on a va'a in the middle of the ocean. Like I remember one point he was on a boat, like a regular boat with the camera, with all the camera crews and his what, that handheld monitor thingy. All the fancy stuff that I don't know the names of. And we were on this va'a, like sailing back and forth, capturing all of this footage and these interactions. And man was just like rolling with it, getting more and more excited. It was just, it was incredible to see someone really just like take the elements as an opportunity to get creative and be fun with it. And it was just like, oh man, we had a time.
That's great. Yeah, that's great.
The first few minutes of the show, and
by the way, Jason's butt?
Well, let's talk about this, right? So Apple TV, they didn't invite Junko and I to the premiere in Hawaii. So, look, I didn't know that much about the show. And first few minutes, by the way, did they pitch this show to you this way? You're going to play Jason's husband and he's going to play your husband and he's only going to wear, leaves as clothing most of the show.
Well, so that was one of the first things I thought of when I read the script. Because, I mean, I grew up in a traditional village, so I'm very familiar with what we wore back in the day, because it is something I learned. And I remember reading the script and I was like, so am I going to be topless the whole time? Because they didn't wear well, yes, they did, but only in certain contexts. Like most people casually would wear some kind of lava or kapa cloth tied around the waist, and then that's why hair is so long. I was like, if I ever get this, maybe I should just grow my hair out so it actually covers the
Cover yourself up.
and so it was a conversation. I remember, I think I must have asked, I was like, how traditional are you guys going? Yep. Like how authentic are we going to be here? And they were like, funny enough, Thomas knew immediately what I was talking about. He was like, don't worry, we're not going to have your boots out. And I was like, okay, cool.
And that is the awesome conversation that you can have in 2025, because we've already had this conversation about like Squid Games and Shogun and, you know, Chief of War and stuff, but there's the shorthand. You do not have to explain anymore. Less explaining to do. Right.
Well, so
I have seen a few people commenting about Jason's butt. I think I saw a comment on one of my posts going, why I tried to watch it in the first 10 minutes and I couldn't get past Jason's butt in the subtitles.
That's right. You're in or you're out within the first few minutes. I'm 100% convinced. If this is not something you're comfortable with, then
so this is going to be really interesting for, let's say, like a Japanese audience. Around 15 years ago, there was a big hula boom in Japan and stuff like that. So maybe it's a little bit, about 15 to 20 years ago. So there's this, and there's a very vacation-y sense in a lot of Japanese people's minds. But if they're able to watch this show, like, I wonder, because that is something that like Japanese people are used to. And so it'll be interesting, just all the comments and takes from different territories. Western audience, some things are very obvious. You know,
I'm so convinced though, after spending all that time I did in Hawaii, I'm so convinced that our Asian whānau, our Asian ohana community will just absolutely love it, purely because I noticed that there's such a strong community of people there. And I remember just kind of thinking, oh, look, all our other cousins, all our distant cousins are here. And everyone, especially, I think, I had a driver actually recently who talked about like how he at least every second year tries to go to Japan, and it's apparently such a popular trip to take between the two. And I was like, that's really cool.
Yes. Like some of the best Japanese food is in like Oahu, right?
Right.
But okay, so Jason's butt wasn't the serious question I had to ask. Yeah,
but on that note, I've been calling this show Cheeks of War since my very first day. Since my very, I walked on set and he was in a malo, and I went, Cheeks of War, everyone, you heard it here first, Cheeks of War, and I'm like, finally, people understand the joke.
Yes.
He's not using a butt model. He's got some big cheeks there for sure.
That man has worked very hard to look good in a malo. I remember, like, I'm a big booty girl myself. So I remember walking on set and going, I don't think I've ever been upstaged by a person before, let alone a man. And I went, man's got some good genes, but I think I remember asking him this, and I was just like, bro, did you, like, I think his mum showed me a picture of him in Baywatch, and I was like, how the heck did this go to that, and pointed to his butt? And he was like, no, I've been working on this for a while. Like, I knew it was coming. And obviously, like, we've had this conversation about how if you have a certain aesthetic, you kind of get sexualized in the industry in a way where it can become, if you choose, it can become a tool to get further opportunities. And so I remember talking to him about this because there was conversations about sexualization of women in the show because of the history of Hawaiian women. And he was like, no, I knew what I was coming into. I know what my weapons are. And I was determined. And he's a psycho. He likes Bulgarian split squats. And I went, what is wrong with you? No one likes those. Those are the exercises that people want to send people to hell for.
Well, everyone listening.
Sorry, Ben, what was your actual
that's okay.
question?
Everybody listening, if you want to have cheeks like Jason Momoa, research Bulgarian squats and you'll get them.
Split squats, apparently.
Split squats.
Hard work. The man has worked very hard for those.
Yeah. I don't even remember what my question is, but I have another question. So As
Sorry.
an American, I'm actually maybe embarrassed to admit this, but I'm wondering from an Islander perspective, or growing up as an Islander, it's funny. The show starts and you've got Jason's cheeks, but you also have beautiful Hawaii. Like the cinematography right out of the gate is gorgeous. It's like, who doesn't want to watch the show? And then you get the log line really quickly that I knew nothing about. It's like, wait, you're telling me that Maui and Kauai and Oahu, they're all going to battle against each other at some point? This is cool. Let's go. But I don't know that history at all, right? We talked about tourism to Hawaii, I've always known of like Kaminaha because there are roads named after him and statues of him, but I've never actually studied the history. We were never taught it in school. How much of the history or this story were you aware of before you came to this project? And then how much did you even know of your characters? Because as you pointed out, these are real people.
I think I'd heard a little of the history. So Juani K. Trask, who's also a massive inspiration for me in terms of how I built Kupuohi, she was this incredible activist and professor who went viral here in Aotearoa quite a few years back for some of her kōrero, some of the speeches she had made. And so in that she referenced the old kingdom and a little bit about the journeys to getting to the Hawai'i that we will eventually see under Kamehameha's reign. So I'd had a little bit of introduction to that, but I also, Kanaka whānau don't come for me. When I first did the audition, I said Kamehameha. I was literally like, is that where it comes from? And in truth, it does, but the pronunciation is not the same. And I was very embarrassed about that. But yeah, it's in Aotearoa, it definitely is taught. The story of the unification of Hawaii under Kamehameha is something that's taught in some schools, but not all. I think I can't speak for every island, but I do know here in Aotearoa, it's kind of mixed as to how much of the Pacific histories that you learn. I was lucky enough, because of my village being primarily Māori, our school system integrated a lot of Māori history and culture into our education system. And I know from friends that I've made over the years that that's not the most common thing. I mean, literally friends from the town 30 minutes drive from where I grew up, they didn't even learn some of the stuff that I did in terms of our own history. And I think I was talking to some of our Polynesian cast. Our Kanaka on set who were working in crew or in extras, or even just some of our actors, and even they had mixed varying degrees of knowledge of their own cultural history. So it's like it was a huge privilege, the amount of access I had to not only Olelo Hawaii, the language, as well as the history and the resources. That was something that was like, I was sitting there going, I can't believe I am allowed to be able to touch this, because understanding it's not very easily accessible in certain school systems, and that's just in Hawaii alone. I think the Kamehameha schools and Ka'ahumanu school, they do teach a lot of it, but it's also not like Kamehameha schools are, I believe, a bilingual but primarily Olelo Hawaii school. I could be wrong with that. So it is very different. And if you want to have a standard Western education system or education, then you might not actually get a lot of that information. So yeah, it's a bit hard.
Interesting. And actually, I had reached out to my friend who grew up in Hawaii, and it's a question that's a little touches upon what you just mentioned. But like, so when you started learning your dialogue, you're just like, what's the difference between Maori and Olelo Hawaii?
Enough similarities that it should be easy, but just enough differences that I screwed it up more times than once. And my language, so we each had a language coach that we worked with privately, and then we had a language coach who was on set at all times.
Right.
And he was kind of like, he was pretty much our Olelo coach when we were filming, as well as our like cultural advisor when we were in the middle of scenes. If we had questions that the writers didn't have an answer to, then we could refer to him. And I remember a couple times where it would just be like, they'd call cut and all I'd hear is, wrong island, T, wrong island, you're speaking Olelo. And I went, because it's the cadence, really. It really is like the okina and the kahako, so that's the little hat on top of the lines and the little dashes. Those eventually, if you have any, like if you've played with voice acting or you've played with dialects, it's not the hardest thing to learn, but it's the cadence itself that I was catching myself, because in Te Ao Māori, you put your emphasis either on the first vowel or the last vowel of the word, depending on the context of, or depending on the structure of the sentence. And then in Olelo Hawai'i, you put it on the middle vowel. So a good example is the word wahine. So wahine or vahine, which depending on where on the islands you refer to, it's either a V or a W. But in Te Reo Māori, you would say wahine. In Olelo Hawai'i, you'd say vahine. So it was those little, like it was such a minor tweak, and so you'd find yourself just kind of slipping in. You'd get the groove, and you'd, like, all of us Māoris were just like, crap, because it's just too similar. And it was it was a fun game. And
a lot of it's muscle memory too, and your tongue is going to slip into what you are used to.
Besides,
especially when it sounds so similar.
Besides all the language training and coaching, did you have to do any type of physical training? You are in
have
some
weapons.
battles yourself.
Yes. I love the strategy that was introduced, like in the early battles, like right off the bat, and that was cool.
I think it was so cool to see, and I mean, it is like this is historically accurate. Women were in battle, and we had there were two types of women. There were either women who fought, or there were also women who, I think also maybe potentially men as well, who, if they didn't want to fight, they would actually be essentially your first aid team. And so they'd be running in, they'd be on the back lines of your armada, running in and just kind of repairing, bandaging, trying to help, or carrying anyone who was still surviving, who needs serious care. So women were heavily integrated into war tactics, which I think is really cool to be able to see and represent. Because I'm just like, well, obviously women are badass. Have you tried pushing out a football? But the actual training involved, I was lucky. I purely out of coincidence, I had gotten, like, I love fitness, and I try to go to the gym. I like to lift weights. I've played with martial arts, and I do yoga, and I've gotten really...
Did you actually play rugby? Did you actually play rugby? Or okay, so you had to prep for that role.
The one time, actually, funny enough, random story, but in Head High, they made us play touch rugby as a family, just as a bonding exercise before we started filming. And because we didn't have access to a field, it was just a car park, we were just like, oh, we'll do touch rugby, or like walking touch rugby. That way no one can get hurt.
Sure.
I rolled my ankle and I was in crutches for about a week. So that gives you an idea of what level of actual physical capabilities I have. I can deadlift 80 kgs, but don't ask me to run. I might fall over.
Okay, so we got some context here.
Yeah. There may or may not be a few bloopers from Chief of War where I literally just went. There was a lot of training. I did a lot of timing wise, I was very lucky again. I had gotten really into my weight training and my exercise a lot at the start of the year that I ended up auditioning. And so it kind of timed out right in terms of the physicality of me. But the actual fight training, that was a lot. So we did a few sessions. We did a few sessions with our stunt team, which is actually Jason Momoa's stunt team that he tries to take on most of his projects. And they're incredible. They're so talented and they're so diverse. And not only their skill set, but their ethnicity. So it was really cool to work with them. And then they actually brought in an expert in the fight style in the Hawaiian fight style, which was
Nice.
a huge thing. Like that was a massive deal because we were learning. I learned later on that the fighting style of ali'i and battle warriors is actually quite a sacred art, and it's not something that anyone can learn. It's actually quite a closely guarded secret. And so they very kindly and generously came along to basically give us the foundations of how to move so that it could at least be based in reality, based in authenticity, I guess. And so because of that, I was like, got to get this right. Okay. So I had my sling, and I was every second of every day. In the evenings, I was doing flows. In between takes, I was doing flows. And as my warm up, even to go to the gym, I was doing flows, just trying to kind of get it into my body. Because even if I had to learn because I had to learn the choreography as we went along, at least the actual bones of the style, I had hoped that I could just kind of muscle memory its way in.
Now, when you say flow with the sling, I'm kind of imagining flow like you would see like with poi, like Hawaii poi. Is that what you mean?
Pretty much similar. I mean, you'll anyone who hears this who does like jujitsu or who does boxing, when I say flow, I'm basically going like people who do jits will do rolls over and over. They'll just roll with each other and kind of roll, like feel the energy and try and play with different moves and takedowns. With boxing, you'll do 1-2s or 3-5s or 6-8s or 6-8s.
But in the context of a sling.
So it was kind of like, it was really similar to poi. It was kind of like it was kind of like reload, like learning how to reload, because it's a long string and I think I worked on it, but probably didn't nail it, so it didn't make the cut. I'm not sure. But there's a process of basically they would literally spin, fling it at a crazy speed. Like there's recorded documents from sailors who watched a ma'a stone being thrown, so the sling being thrown, and a rifle going off, and the stone hits before the rifle does. So it was faster than a bullet at sometimes. And so they would then throw it, catch it, bring it down to their side first, reload it with a stone, and then be ready to throw again. It was wild. So I was doing that.
Because I was watching, like I have a martial arts background, and I was, well, maybe because I was like, oh, I'm going to talk to you tomorrow, so I'm going to watch this. But I was watching, like, even moving through when everyone's moving through the forest, because I was like, oh, how are you moving? Because you have a sling. Everyone else has spears. And so, Ben, I'm not sure if you noticed, but like for any of the sling throwers, their forward movement was actually the sling behind. So they're already like cocked and ready, so to speak. And I was like, oh, but when you're performing that, you're kind of, you're in a low squat and your hands are behind you and your weight is back. So I'm like, oh, your lower back must have had a lot of fun doing that. I appreciated that.
You're talking about a lot of things I don't know right now, but that's okay.
Low center of gravity. You're going through uneven terrain. You're trying not to trip and muck up the take. Right?
And to be honest, so I think I know what scene you're talking about, where we're walking through and the boys all kind of split out, and you see me behind, holding it behind myself. That scene is actually shot in a coconut grove in Makaha. And the thing is coconuts obviously very heavy, tall trees are very tall. So when a coconut drops, it makes this divot in the ground that's so dangerous. And the grass is so tall that we had our beautiful, incredible team of locations people came through and tried to pick up all the coconuts, but you can't exactly just, like, this is an actual coconut grove. It's not like you just go in and fill the holes. So when you say uneven terrain, it's like this the whole time. And yes, that is the set that I fell over on twice.
Okay, so I kind of called it a little bit.
Yeah.
Junko,
you got me.
Junko, you're so good at picking up these details that I don't.
She's coming for your job.
Yeah. Well, so in the end of episode 2, or maybe kind of halfway through, we see the pale faces come, right? We see the wife. So I'm just trying to follow your conversation, can you tease? Are we going to see you slinging some things and, battling against gunfire at some point?
You definitely see a mix. There's a really cool, and I mean, be careful to anyone who actually does it. Be careful what you Google, because you may or may not spoil the entire show for yourself, including future seasons if we actually get more seasons. So be careful when you Google. But there is a really, historically, and we do touch on it in this season and hopefully in future seasons if we get it, there is a combination of techniques that end up coming together. And so I feel like I can say this without spoiling anything. Ke Kopuohi was actually famous for redefining Kamehameha's war tactics to include muskets. So even though you see her today, or in the show today, fighting with ma'a and going at it with the sling, later on in history, Kamehameha actually worked with her to build an entirely Kua Wahine, entire female war battalion of musket warriors who were instrumental in the in Kamehameha's journey to unify and conquer all the islands. So there's hopefully, I mean, people watch the show, get us another season, and you might see more.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, Apple TV is never quick to announce their decisions on renewals, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. I have a question for you on just the experience you've had, because as you've been talking about all the things you've gotten to do on this show, it sounds like you had quite a good time. I'd love to hear from filming this first season what were some of your favorite takeaways or moments.
And just to dovetail off of that, and what was also whenever, especially I guess in a context of the series, there's always kind of the leadership, and I was wondering what kind of leadership Jason had for the crew as well, cast and crew.
It's funny you asked about the leadership. I think because I got this question actually recently, and somebody asked me how Jason and I built our relationship to be able to represent the story that we do as partners. And it wasn't until after I finished the conversation that I realized, I was like, oh, that's why. It was really easy, because I think when we all said yes to this project, we all knew what we were signing up for. We knew that we were coming on board to support Hawai'i in their journey to re-indigenize storytelling and bring kanaka to the forefront of the decision-making process. And Jason was very clear about that from the very beginning. He made sure that if we had any questions, we would go to him and he'd say, hey, I've got this person. Hey, I've got this expert. Hey, we've brought this guy on set. And every time he brought a specialist or an advisor on set, he was introducing him to everyone. So it was a real collaborative, like, family commitment. And so I think in a lot of ways, that was what kind of made me go, okay, I've got this man's back. And like, even today, like, yes, I played his wife, but as a sister, as a fellow Polynesian sister, I've got that man's back, because I truly saw how much work that he put into to make sure he could get this as right as possible with the restrictions of our industry. And so it was he's the chief, although I do jokingly say that Maine Kinimaka, who plays Heke, my sister, she's the true chief of war. So she was his assistant for a few years, I think, and during the show was also still his assistant. And I was kind of sitting there going, girl, that boy would be lost without you. Like that. Sorry, Jay. Sorry to expose you. Love you, bro. But my name's the true chief of war. It was, but that was the thing. It's when you ask people ask, what's your favorite moments? And I really struggle to pick one, because yes, it's a job, and yes, there were hard times. I mean, we had a volcano eruption, we had a flash flood, we had cyclones, we were standing on the coldest coast of the North Island in the middle of winter, and Malo and lava. It was hard, but it was also probably easily one of the best experiences I've had and will probably have in my lifetime, because it's not often you get to work on a project where everyone is there for passion. Like, you hear that term passion project, which everyone goes, oh, so you weren't paid then. But this was a passion project. We were all family.
Yeah, and we can take it back to Shogun. You know, we talked about it before we started recording, and briefly mentioned it again. There are some parallels, right? You know, especially for folks that don't know the history, you know, I think it's smart to build a show off of like this Game of Thrones rival, you know, villages, islands that may eventually come and battle for supremacy. That's just good TV. But I think the magic of Shogun is it allowed a mostly, if not primarily, well, I guess not. There were obviously some non-Japanese characters, but a mostly Japanese cast and crew, and you know, even writers with Rachel Kondo put together a beautiful story that just felt very authentic, right? And I think through the first 2 episodes, that's what I get out of this is, again, there aren't too many opportunities to see these stories. We weren't taught these stories, and yet I'm locked in. And so Apple really has something, I think, special here. And congratulations.
Thank you.
I would assume anyone we talk to who's a part of this show will have a very similar feeling and emotion that you have, which is I get to work on something that is telling our story to a broad audience that frankly probably doesn't know our story at all, and it's just a special moment of television.
For sure. I think, and I would be very surprised if you didn't find the same feeling from anyone who worked on Shogun as well. I think that's the beauty of working on Indigenous projects as Indigenous people, regardless of whether or not you're Chinese, Japanese, Māori, like Tongan, even if those, like, even, I mean, Justin Chong and Matt Chung, incredible, amazing, talented people, but also so invested in this journey, so invested in supporting this kaupapa for Hawaii. And I think that's the best part about being of our Indigenous communities, is it's like, oh, you need help? No, I'm not directly from here, but we're family. If I look back far enough, we're family, and I've got you. And I think that's the best part about Indigenous storytelling, is there is this, like you said, there's this kind of like magic to it that just makes you, like, fills your cup.
Yeah. And actually going back to Justin a little bit, like, what was your first impressions of him? So Justin, as an indie filmmaker, went through LA Asian Pacific Film Festival a few times. So that's why I've known him in passing, and he's and I could see him taking on this project as kind of a caretaker. He's not going to come at it being like, I'm telling the story. He's definitely he's like, that's not what I'm doing. Knowing him, you know, somewhat, I could see him being like, I've been giving this gift. I'm supposed to take care of it and have everyone on board, is what I imagine he had. And what was your first interactions with him, I guess, like, after you were cast and, you know, you got the job? Like, how was Justin Chon gonna tell this story? But he's very good with telling the human experience. But yeah, what was your conversation with him like initially?
I mean, I'll start with saying your interpretation of him and your impressions of him, 100% correct. 100% correct. This man he has such a big heart, and he works so hard to be inclusive of whatever kaupapa, well, at least for us, what the kaupapa was. Even at certain points where I would see our on-set language coach, Kiave, and him talking and like getting ideas and collaborating together. And I was like, how cool is it that a director is here to really like refine and fine tune? And if he has questions or he's not sure, he has no problem with asking for help, and he has no problem with reaching out and sharing that kind of leadership role, because he's there for the right reasons. And to be honest, you said after post casting, but I have to admit, because I always jokingly say this to him, I fangirled so hard. He's my favorite character from Twilight.
I was wondering about
He's
that.
my favorite character from Twilight. Me and my mum love his character on Twilight, and it's like it's kind of become a Christmas movie for us. I don't know why, but for some reason,
it's a
every
wintry
time.
Yeah.
Well, it's Christmas is summer here, so I don't even get
that's right.
I don't even know how it became a thing, but for some reason, every Christmas, without a doubt, during the week of because we've got such a big family, and so there's lots of meal prepping and stuff involved, we end up just playing the Twilight series in the background, and so every Christmas, it's always around leading up to Christmas, it's always playing in the background, and so I was like, playing it cool, playing it cool, playing it cool. Oh my god, I just met Justin Chon. Oh my god. And then I called Mum and I was like, Mum, Justin Chong's the director of this project that I've auditioned for. And she's like, oh my god, we have to get a picture. And lo and behold, when I took her to the premiere, we were waiting to head to where we had to go to, and Justin walks in, and I was like, Justin, gave a big hug. And then I was like, I really need to introduce you to my mum, because I'm not the only person who loves you in Twilight. And they introduce, and she gives him a big hug, and we take there's a picture of the three of us together, and she's just like, I'm next to a celebrity. And I'm like, lady, you didn't freak out this much when we met Jason Momoa, but she was like, another Polynesian boy, another free one. He's probably mischief too. But Justin Chon, oh my lord, she was blushing with excitement. It was so cute.
This is
so wonderful.
really funny. The title of our podcast episode is going to be T joins us to discuss whether Twilight is truly a Christmas movie. It's like, forget Die Hard. Twilight is truly a Christmas film.
Yeah. You thought Die Hard was controversial? Wait till you hear this one.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Man, I gotta ask a dying actor question. And you do it. I'm like, I don't think I looked for this, but what was the audition process like?
It was hard.
What kind of hard?
It was really hard in that I came in, I had, we all have imposter syndrome, and I think at varying degrees, and I think that's a really common problem in our industry. But this one was different. I definitely came in going, I don't know if I have the right to tell this story. If somebody, we had just done this incredible film here in Aotearoa looking at one of our iconic wahine in history. And I kind of went, if somebody non-Māori had played that role, would I be okay with that? Is that something that I could accept? And so coming in, I remember doing the audition, because I went to my friend's house, who's an actor, to help me. And I had 3 auditions to do, and that was one of them. And so we were doing the audition, and we saved this one for last. And she read the brief, and she was like, are you sure you don't want to do this verse? And I went, there's no way I'm going to get it. There's no way I'm going to get this. No one's going.
Just back up, how many scenes did you have to do for the first round? Okay,
2
scenes. Yeah.
And it was actually the only time I think I'd gotten an American audition where I had more than 3 days to prep. What is up with that?
What do you mean?
USA?
Wait, what do you guys do?
What's
your timeline? Oh, dang, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, at least 5 business days. But the thing is, so I learned, because I remember when I first started auditioning on that for stuff on your side of the world, I turned to my agent and my acting coach, and I was like, why do we only have 2-3 days? That's insane. And they turned around and said, well, actually, it's because it's not that big of a deal, because most people you can audition with a paper in your hand. And I went,
that's true.
If I walked into a New Zealand audition with reading off the paper, they'd be like, get out. One take, get out.
Yeah,
you're not even considered.
Different. I think because, when it is busy, I guess the expectations are lower that you could walk in with a piece of paper, but I don't know. We all just been using teleprompter for all the self-tape stuff. I use teleprompter all the time. Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah. Oh, we got okay. We'll talk about this. Okay, after
I'm gonna need that hack.
Okay.
Yeah, Junko's giving away all the secrets, but she she'll text me like, "Oh, I have to audition tomorrow." It's like last minute all the time.
Yeah,
Very different.
and that's why it's for just to give you a taste of how things have changed in LA, but people have moved out because of taping. But when it comes to commercial auditions, still tend to want to be like in LA territory, and and even maybe a last minute co-star that needs to be replaced because they got sick kind of scenario is you don't really hear that much. So there is more impetus for people to move out. And sorry, my dog is reverse sneezing.
It's okay.
What is reverse sneezing? Like he's backing up as he sneezes?
It sounds like they're choking. It sounds like they're choking.
Yeah, like snorting. It sounds like they have something stuck in their nose, but it's actually reverse. Okay, he's done.
If you've never seen it, it can be very
just Google it.
Scary.
Reverse sneezing. If it's
a good thing to know.
Yeah.
I just got a puppy, and I've had dogs my whole life.
I can hear him. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, yeah.
My dogs, Junko, I had to keep going on mute because my dogs were like two boys, but they were trying to hump each other the whole time right next to me. I was like trying to kick them out of the way. Yeah.
No, it's funny you say it because you're literally mine as well. Because I've put myself in the bedroom because he's such a mama's boy at the moment, and he's just glued to my side. And if he wants to play, he's like, I don't care what you're doing. I'm just gonna sit here and try and get your attention. So I locked him in the other half of the house, and so I can hear him kind of like patting because he can hear my voice. I can hear him patting around at the door. Like if I look down, I can kind of see his nose.
Oh, he needs to learn. He needs to learn. But sorry. Okay. Anyway,
I want to get to that word you said earlier, celebrity, right? So now that you've and earlier in your career and you've focused on Indigenous storytelling, it's very like honorable what you've done in your career so far. But I'm curious now that you've been on this big production with big stars and you're doing the big Apple TV press circuit. I mean, you're kind of living the celebrity life. And if Chief of War season 2 isn't what you do next, like, do you have a bug or a desire to explore this side of the world?
I am definitely intrigued by how you guys do things on your side of the world, and my bank account certainly likes it better than Aotearoa. I'll be real honest. We definitely don't get paid as well here, and that's not a diss on Aotearoa. That's where we're at financially in terms of funding the arts. We don't have the kind of money to be able to funnel it into that industry here. But I am really intrigued because there's so much. Like I remember watching things like Marvel and the TV series I see, and I'm just like, oh man, that looks so cool. There's just so much less restriction in what you can do as a storyteller when there's the money behind it.
Even the newest Predator series that focused on Indigenous, like First Nations in North America.
Right? Prey.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's so much of that, and so I'm very interested to see if they'll have me, what else I can do in that market. And I definitely thought about it. I actually emailed my manager and I was like, I want Wonder Woman. And I was like, I know that's the most wild request ever, but can we get me an audition to Wonder Woman?
Never know.
Girls got the booty. And Lord knows that they haven't had a true Amazonian body figure represent Wonder Woman yet. I volunteer as tribute. And also I've always loved DC. Like my mum loved DC comics, so I watched DC. So I loved DC comics, and I think James Gunn, what he's doing. Like I've seen all of the all the DC movies back in the day when I was really little. And so seeing James Gunn's approach to the DC cinematic universe, I think is really exciting because I think he's kind of like, he's found this really cool medium between like playing into that cinematic universe that Marvel nails so well. But also maintaining like the essence of what DC Comics is and how good and the reason why it was so good. So I was just kind of like, hey, hey, I'm here. Hi.
Oh, yeah.
Can I come into the room, please?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I always said, I remember watching Black Widow because I think that those movies must have come out while I was still studying. And I just remember thinking, oh, yeah, how cool would it be to be a badass superhero? But I also feel like I've kind of ticked off that box. Like,
You
Yeah.
a little bit, yeah. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm being greedy here because if I'm being completely honest with myself, yes, Wonder Woman's cool. Yes, Black Widow is iconic, and Scarlett Johansson is a goddess. But also, I get to play like the superhero version of my own our own
Yeah.
Indigenous people, which is pretty
Yeah.
badass.
Without
And
radioactivity
for
playing a
sure.
part.
I mean,
I mean, who
look,
needs superhero skills when you've got a sling and a stone? I mean, I
that's
can do some
right.
damage.
That's right.
Yeah, I saw you
Well,
drop someone from a tree. I saw that. I saw that.
you yeah, I think life may be changing for you in the near future, and you can tell mom that, hey, I'm a celebrity too.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, no. Oh, my family will humble me real quick. That's my favorite thing. Like, it's funny because I remember coming out of, because I'd studied music theater, and I've always wanted to be in theater. Like the goal was, and it still is, to get onto the Globe theater stage. I felt like Shakespeare was the first thing I did, and it's still one of my favorite loves. And so, like, the ultimate goal, like the thing, if I could tick this off my list, I could retire. I could never work again.
Have you visited the Globe?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I think that's my favorite thing about Shakespeare, though, because Shakespeare's been breaking the rules and doing it and pulling it off since the very beginning. So things like people turning around and, like, if they turn to me and they're like, oh, well, you're not Kanaka, you're Māori. And I'm like, yeah, well, Juliet wasn't a woman, but no one had any complaints about that. It's one of those things where it's like Shakespeare kind of can do anything he wants, and anyone who works with Shakespeare, there are obviously there's boundaries within theatre, but he's kind of created this space where you can kind of do anything and it still works and it still pertains to today. Like he really is one of the greats for a reason. So I mean, I've got my eyes on Shakespeare. But the whole celebrity thing, I'm a book nerd. I like to stay home and just like binge watch Friends and eat pizza
with your doggy and
I'm a village kid. I still go to the supermarket or the mall with no shoes on to grab some spices for dinner. Like I am not the person you would associate with celebrity, and it's not something I think I've ever really wanted. I think attention and celebrity comes with so much responsibility and also a platform where it's so easy to make a mistake or to be put into a box or pigeonholed, especially in your career. Like I think you look at the great work from any celebrity's early career, and it's so amazing, and you just see so much diversity and just the tools that they have, and then you see them after they find success. And I get it, the industry kind of goes, oh, you're really good at selling this, let me just keep giving you jobs. And as actors, we're like, I will take any opportunity to enjoy my craft. But in a way, you do end up becoming limited by that. And so in a lot of ways, celebrity scares me because, one, I'm an idiot. Don't give me a platform. I'm a goofball. Like, I'll tell you, hey, don't wear shoes because shoes are confining, and let's eat pizza on the couch and watch Friends together. Like, that's nobody wants that as a celebrity. You want somebody glamorous like Zendaya, who's like mysterious.
Oh, right. But actually, speaking of platform, your Instagram. What's your Instagram handle again?
My Instagram handle is no coffee. So TEE.
Oh, no coffee. Okay.
It's actually a play on a joke. So when I was at drama school, I think I was sick, and so I was late wasn't there for dance class that day. And because they read a role because you have to attend so many classes for you to pass, they read the role. And so they were like, okay, Emilio, yes, tea, no coffee, thank you. My friend just went, no coffee, thank you. And couldn't stop laughing. The whole class burst out laughing. And they told me about it later, and I went, You know what? And it's been 15 years since I've heard a unique joke about my name, and that one's a good one.
It's a
And
good handle.
Yeah,
it's been my
it is a good
handle ever
handle.
since.
Yeah. Well, I think we like that you don't see yourself as a celebrity because you've given us a lot of time, and and it's been a really fun conversation. And
Yeah.
hopefully, tell you what, when Chief of War season 2 does get announced, we want to have you back on.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Let's do this again. I had so much fun. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
And just to
Sure.
wrap it up, yes, I always ask this question. So because we're called United by Rice, I always like to ask everyone, what is your favorite rice dish? And noodles included. I usually throw on noodles or any form of rice. Grains are okay too.
And no pressure.
I like so much. I love
no pressure,
rice, so
but I think
so
you're
hard.
you're one of our first like Polynesian Islander persons to answer this question, so you gotta represent.
I mean, I should preface by saying, being in Hawaii, like I've always loved rice, but being in Hawaii, it came to a next level. I was addicted to rice. I think I had anything on rice like 4 or 5 times a week for like a year after I finished filming. But that's so hard. I think
you can have a different answer next time.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
This time, the first thing that stuck in my head was mango sticky rice.
I
can eat that. I can eat my weight in that stuff. It's so good.
I don't think we haven't gotten that one before, Duke. I'm actually surprised that one lasted this long. That's a good one.
How do you look over it? I've been trying to perfect that. I've been trying to perfect the recipe of mango sticky rice, and I still can't get it quite right.
Because I think most people. Yeah, I think most people have gone savory, kind of full meal before they've gone like sweet.
Sweet, yeah.
So
but
that's a unique answer.
Totally.
Yeah.
I like a dessert. I love a dessert. I can list desserts for any day.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, again, Chief of War, what nights? Friday nights, you said?
Fridays, right?
Friday nights.
All right. Well, 7 more episodes to go. Very excited to see where the show goes, where your character goes, and can't wait to see some kick-ass true superhero battles that you have coming up. So thank you so much for being on.
Thank you, T.
Thank you guys.